Another Heygo rerun for you. The time, March 2023.
Picture it.
The place, SOHO, New York City.
That's right. SOHO, darling.
Enjoy this Heygo rerun.
Hello.
Hi, everybody!
Welcome to New York City.
In the immortal words of Alicia Keys, welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you. Oh, no, that's Taylor Swift. Alicia Keys is in New York.
Hi, Robin. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Diane.
Happy you're with us.
LS. Happy you're here today.
If you're new to us, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Patrick, and we're happy you're here. If you happen to be new to us, let us know in the chat. We always like to know when we have new viewers on. So we promise we won't make you recite a poem or, anything.
We might make you sing a song.
Well, you might have to stand up and sing a song in front of the whole class, but that's not a big deal.
And you can pick the song.
Yeah.
We're nice like that.
Brand new. Somebody's brand new. And, wait, no. Sorry, I missed it. It's good. The chat's going by. Morena.
From Italy. Oh, yay.
Morena, thanks for joining us. Okay, we're going to straighten up, and we're going to have a good tour today because you're new and you're here with us. We're happy that you're here. It's a little gray. It's a little overcast and gray today, but
yeah. But it's going to be great regardless.
That's right.
It's 8 degrees Celsius. It's 47 degrees Fahrenheit, which doesn't seem that cold, but the wind is kind of picking up a little bit. And that's what always makes it chilly.
That's right.
But alas, we'll be fine.
John is back for number 2. Well, I'm glad we didn't scare you away, John. Thanks for coming back and joining us.
Oh, John with no H from St. Paul.
That's right.
Welcome back, John. Yeah, indeed. I'm glad we didn't scare you away. We can do that. We have a tendency.
That's not true.
But welcome, everybody. Glad you're with us today in New York City. It's going to be a nice day. We've had an easy day so far. I did a little touch-up on our Elfreth's Alley notes.
I believe, who just said that? Sorry. Tish, yes. I think we might have one of those mixes in our cupboard right now.
What was it?
The Dolly Parton mix.
Oh, we do. And here's what I'll tell you. The Dolly Parton coconut cake mix, chef's kiss. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Tracy.
Oh, I know, Tracy. It's such a bummer. I'm not sure we're going to get snow.
Yeah.
This season, which is such a crazy thing. I mean, anything is possible. It's still February, of course. So,
true.
We could get a cold snap.
Karen, big crock pot of soup. That sounds delicious on this. It's probably cold all across the states today, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the lucky zone where we're not getting any of the bad weather that a lot of the rest of the country's getting. We're just sort of getting this a little bit of a breeze and this kind of gray weather, but Tish, you're getting a high of 82 in Virginia.
So crazy.
All right, so you guys can't complain.
Yeah.
Mickey B, a sensible 72. You can wear shorts in that weather.
I know, right?
Yeah,
no
then
complaints.
other folks say you can have my snow.
The tour has not begun. If you happen to be new and you're wondering, we still have a little under 6 minutes before we're going to get going. We usually sign on a few minutes early. Most of our regular viewers know this, but we sign on a few minutes early just to say hello and check in. But the pre-tour chats are nice. We like them too.
Rowena says it's raining in Alabama.
Oh, geez.
Yep. I started to say this earlier. I touched up our Elfreth's Alley notes.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time we do a tour for the first time, we never know what's going to land or what doesn't. So, and today's a first-time tour. So I got Elfreth's Alley from Philly done before we came to this one, and then later today I'll have to touch up this one because I'm sure we'll have some changes after this one.
We're always a little bit nervous. We're not going to lie. We get a little bit nervous when we, this is a new tour today, Morena. If you don't know, this is a brand new tour for us. So every time we add a new tour into our schedule, we just get, we get a little bit little jitters.
It's more of like, I hope they like it.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about a lot. It's I hope they like it, and I hope the signal's good.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are our two nerves. Which for today, we just tested yet again. We've probably tested this route at least 4 times.
It's been a little roller coastery with tests, but the last 2
Yeah.
that we've done have been really solid and good.
So we feel confident in our route. Knock on wood. We'll say that again when the tour actually starts.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Joanna. Don't worry, be happy.
A roller coaster tour.
Oh, Catherine, I'm glad we can provide a good distraction during that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're happy to be a distraction.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And you know, here's to better times ahead.
Yeah. Somebody made a comment about our fun hats, that we should do a tour of our fun hats. We could do a whole tour.
Like we leave, like all of a sudden we leave, come back
And
with
here's a
different
new
hat.
one. That would be quite funny. We do have quite a few. I mean, Patrick has quite a bit more hair than I do. I sort of need mine for warmth and for sun protection. But I think we both like them for fashion purposes, too.
Yeah, it's fun to wear hats.
Yeah. And we have some good ones.
Yeah.
I think you have better ones than I do, because you have all your Bailey hats, which are so nice.
I do love, that's right, I agree, Robin. I do love a pork pie hat. That is my sort of go-to, like whenever I decide that I'm going to wear a hat somewhere, I usually grab a pork pie.
Do we ever steal hats? Oddly enough, we
them?
rarely, I think you probably mean like wear each other's hats.
Oh. Do we steal them? Like, I'm trying to think.
I
well,
went
I thought maybe
into
like
Macy's the other day and I said, this one's nice. And I swiped it.
I thought maybe like from like a show or something that we've done. Because if you don't know, Aaron and I are both work in theater, and I thought maybe you meant like we take a hat from a show. Yeah, we have.
I have one from when I did Annie on tour, and I have one from when I did a production of Grease one time.
We got it out last. We
Yeah.
figured it out. But you can't. Look. What's that old joke? Doesn't take you long to look at a horseshoe. Yeah, we're not too quick on the upkeep with those up. However that goes.
But actually, truth be told, we rarely wear each other's hats.
Yeah, that's true.
I think because we just have so many, each of us,
Yeah.
that there's not much need to cross over. We both have hats that look like this, so it may seem like I'm wearing Patrick's because he wore one like this earlier this week. But it's a little bit of a different color.
Hi,
Uptake.
Sherry.
There we go.
There it
Uptake.
is. My gosh, why couldn't I think of that? I saw my sister Sherry just joined. Welcome, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
You're wait, what time is it? You're at work. Maybe you're on your lunch break.
Jill, I played Bundles the Laundryman in the national tour, the 30th anniversary tour of Annie in 2004. Sean Shuck was our Daddy Warbucks. Mackenzie Phillips was Lily St. Regis.
If you know who Mackenzie Phillips is.
That's a throwback. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
We still have about a minute and a half before we get going. And we're excited to show off this tour today, show off a little bit of a new neighborhood. Yes, one day at a time, Mackenzie Phillips.
Yeah. We've been wanting to come down here for a while. I mean, we come down here frequently ourselves, but I mean with Heygo. And honestly, it just kept getting pushed on the list. And I think it's a shame that we took so long. I'm glad we're finally getting here because it's a cool part of town.
It really is. A couple of viewers had mentioned it over the last year or so, and we kept thinking we wanted to come down here and check it out. And we tried a couple of different routes and finally figured out a good signal route. It's just that's the thing that plagues us the most is figuring, with new tours, is figuring out the best route with the best signal.
LS, if that question is for us, we don't know the answer. I've never been. But it might have been for somebody else. It was about the Children's Museum of Arts.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, we are going to see some cobblestone streets. We're going to do our best not to roll our ankles.
Yeah, the Fire Museum is near us. We're not going over to it. It's a beautiful Beaux-Arts building a couple blocks to our left. But we won't see that today. Oh, it's go time.
Go time.
I was wondering what you're pointing at. You're pointing at the green light that says go. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're with us today here in beautiful New York City. It's 2:00 p.m. here. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Patrick.
And we're happy you're with us. We have some new folks on today, and we have some seasoned folks on today. And we're thrilled you're all with us today. Thanks, Karen. And it's 2 o'clock p.m. It's 8 degrees Celsius. It's 47 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels quite chilly, mainly because the wind is kind of nipping at us just a little bit. Once we get going, we'll be fine. The weather doesn't even faze us once we start the tour.
That's right.
This is a live tour. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us as we make our way along. We do have to deal with a little bit of traffic on today's tour because Soho is a little neighborhood, and we're going to be zigzagging all over the streets to try to show off as much as we can in our next 40 minutes or so.
Thank you, Don. Yes, and also you can take pictures on this tour. For anybody that may not know this, anytime you see something that you like, hit that big center button in the center of your screen, and that picture will be saved in your Heygo profile, and you can share those with your family. You can text them or email them, or send up you can paint a picture.
You can send up a flare.
I was going to say send up a smoke signal, but I don't know how you would make a picture with that. But anyway.
GJ asked our first great question, which is, is Soho named after London Soho? No, it's south of Houston. South of Houston,
That's right.
Soho, which we'll mention again probably more than once on this tour. But also, I will say, in terms of the signal, we'll keep you posted if our signal dips on our end. But we said this as we were saying our hellos earlier. We have tested this route 4 times. Of the 4 times, one of them had a bad signal. But we just tested it right before, and it was a good signal. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. We have my phone at the ready if we have to switch phones, because we keep Patrick's on 5G and mine on LTE in case it matters. If we have to switch phones, we will, and then that sometimes takes us about 30 seconds to a minute to switch phones, and you will know that that's happening if it happens. I think that's it.
Yeah, let's get going.
Welcome, everybody. We're so happy you're with us today in... Oh, of course, I just untied my shoe, right, as we're taking off. Okay, pause.
Oh, my God.
And,
Get out the way. As soon as we start to get going.
tying my shoe.
Your shoe gets untied.
Okay.
All
right, so shoe is now retied. So the first thing we want to point out is this building right here on the corner. This is God's Love We Deliver, an organization we've talked about quite a few times on our tours. And it's kind of a short, little, uninteresting building. It was built in 1951, but what happens in there is pretty great. That's the home to the charitable organization in God's Love We Deliver, and it's a highly regarded nonprofit gay rights activist group that delivers meals to people with AIDS and HIV. This building was in large part funded by David Geffen and Michael Kors, which is why you might even see Michael Kors' name on it as well. But this is right here at the corner of Spring and 6th Avenue, and we're getting ready to make our way into the heart of Soho. So now Soho, the northern border of it is Houston, which is where the name comes from a little bit, as we were just saying to GJ a little bit ago. South of Houston is where Soho comes from. In large part, it was given the neighborhood was given this name because of real estate agents who were trying to come up with these trendy names for these neighborhoods. So it's Houston to the north, Canal to the south. The east of us is a bit trickier. We've got, most people would agree, 6th Avenue, which we just crossed, is the western border, and Crosby Street is to the east, which is just past Broadway.
We just want to point out this really cool building here. The reason we want to point it out is because as we were testing down here in Soho, we kept coming by this building, and they were cleaning the building. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous building. You can see that like burnt sienna color brick. And I'm just going to put a picture in here because we came by as they were in the middle of cleaning this building, just to give you an idea of what that building looked like prior to the whole thing. That right edge there has not been cleaned yet. So, it takes a while, and they use a big cherry picker to clean the buildings here. I'm sure it was with a power washer, but, it doesn't take long for the dirt to sort of cover a building and make it a different color.
So I'm going to pause on a little bit of the Soho detail to show off the Dominique Ansel Bakery. Those of you that have been with us on tours before, you probably heard us talk about the cronuts before, but this is where the famous cronut comes from. So the cronut is basically a donut made from like a croissant-like dough, and then it has ganache with a little bit of a filling, and oh my ganache, are they tasty. They do a different flavor each month, and here's our big tip. If you ever want to try the cronut and you're coming to New York, check out their website in advance because you can pre-order and then you can skip the line. Also, they sell out quite a bit, so you want to make sure that you get it. But they have lots of other treats as well. I'm going to go...
Let's go in front of the truck, yeah.
They have lots of other great stuff as well. That opened in 2011, by the way. And it's a terrific little bakery, Dominique Gensel. Now, we want to show off the other side of the street as well. This is 188 and 190 Spring Street. These old federal-style homes right here in the middle of the SOHO district. Two of the remaining row houses right here. They retain their original 19th century features, those gable roofs. The typical federal-style height of about, roughly 3. This is about 3.5 floors. And that Flemish bond work that was quite typical of the area. And Nicole, they do some shipping. I don't know if they'll do to Canada or not, if you're asking about Dominique Ansel. In terms of the people in these homes, I bet they ship as well. Maybe they have something for sale on eBay. Okay, so we're going to now make our way through SOHO a little bit. By the way, this is famous Ben's Pizza right here across the way from us with this maroon awning. And it was in Men in Black 2 and Sex and the City. It's a bit of a movie star, this pizza joint.
Yeah. GJ, Friends was actually shot in L.A. There is an exterior shot that we show off on our Greenwich Village tour. They did all of the exterior shots of their apartment building, but the show itself was shot in LA. I just want to point out, you see a lot of these pop-up outside seating for these restaurants that have gotten permission during the pandemic to set up outside. And some of them have gotten really quite fancy. Look at the beautiful hanging lamps they've made. This one doesn't have it, but often they'll have even heaters on these pop-up seating so that people can... This one next door has the heat lamps I can see.
And some ceiling fans as well. So now, almost all of SOHO is included in the SOHO Cast Iron Historic District, part of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. And the whole area was designated in 1978. So it's about 26 blocks, and it contains about 500 buildings, many of them incorporating these cast iron architectural details that we will see quite a bit of and talk about quite a bit as we make our way through this area. And as we were talking about earlier, a lot of these little side streets have the Belgian blocks, the cobblestone streets, and we'll see some of those along our way as well. Now, the population of this neighborhood is about 20,000 here in SOHO, and it was quite a commercial part of town. Now it is very much known for its trendy shopping, some upscale restaurants, although Patrick and we were discussing the other day, you don't think of SOHO as much as a restaurant area in New York.
Much more like shopping district.
Although we'll still see a couple of restaurants as we make our way through. So now, of those 500 buildings that make up this area, really about 250 of them are well preserved and well noted in this district. And sorry.
The wind is sort of picking up.
I know. So with the addition of the cast iron, here's some of the cobblestone over here. Yeah.
Someone was asking about the cobblestone streets.
So this cast iron that we're talking about basically kind of changed the way that building happened in New York, and specifically in this area. So with that, these building facades could have this kind of modern decorative facades that the older industrial buildings couldn't really have as much of. So many of these facades we're going to be seeing date back to like the late 1800s roughly. And the cast iron, by the way, was quite cheaper than materials such as stone or brick. And basically they would have molds of ornamentation prefabricated in foundries. And those could be used interchangeably for a lot of buildings. And as a result, also, if pieces broke, they could easily replace those pieces. So it was really quite an affordable and sensible way to start building. And these buildings could also be erected quite quickly because they were in large part, prefabricated. Now, despite the, quick fabrication of everything, it didn't sacrifice on the quality, because the quality of the buildings was still quite, we can cross over.
Yeah.
Was still quite lovely and beautiful and hardy as well. As you can tell by these buildings are still here. So they found it kind of relatively inexpensive. We're going to see some beautiful examples coming into view right now of all this cast iron that we're talking about. But they found it relatively inexpensive, and they could have this intricate detail all along here. So you'll see classical French and Italian architectural designs that were oftentimes used for these facades. Now, because stone was oftentimes the material associated with architectural masterpieces, you'll find that a lot of this cast iron was painted to look like stone, essentially. How funny, we have a perfect signal right now, and literally a few days ago right here we were at a 1. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
So the first building we want to show off right here, this is the king of Green Street, 72 Green Street right here. So this was a warehouse that belonged to dry goods dealer Gardner Colby. And this was considered to be the finest example of like the French Renaissance design in Soho when it went up. It's called the King of Green Street. This was designed by Isaac Duckworth, who was the master of cast iron architecture. And you can see this incredible three-dimensional facade. It really is quite beautiful, Lorna, agreed. And again, notice how it's, painted to look like, stonework, but when really it's cast iron. Really quite stunning.
That's a beautiful example.
All right, so, and really you can kind of just get lost in these streets. I mean, you can walk down any of these streets here in Soho and see all these beautiful examples of... sorry, we had a dog blocking our path. Didn't want us to go. You can just kind of walk all through these Soho areas and see these beautiful cast iron buildings. And so we'll just sort of wind our way through them. And let's cross over.
Yeah. Get a good shot of these.
Oh, yeah.
Few right in a row here.
This is Spring Street that we're on right now. We're going to circle back to Spring in a little bit. And, oh, yeah, Maureen. Yeah, we love this area, too. It's really, really terrific.
The Shaftway, I guess that's maybe the elevator.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Great. So we're going to head up Green now. And, sorry, dealing with a little bit of traffic. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about, by the way, as we head up, check out this one on the left. It's really, it's just really stunning. I don't know how often they have to be painted. That's a good question. Robinia, they have to write shaft there so that if there was a fire or something, they needed to break into that window, they knew that there was a shaftway and you wouldn't go plummeting down, all those levels, basically. That's my assumption. I'm not a perfect building knowledgeable person, but so a little bit about the real estate in this area. The average rent would be about $3,000, a little over $3,000 for a studio, by the way. One bedroom about $4,000, 2 bedroom about $5,000. If you wanted to purchase an apartment, it's going to be all over the place. But you're not going to find too much less than $1 million, and that's probably for, most likely you'll see lofts in this area. Now, the next thing we want to show you is in the pavement up here, in the sidewalk. And it's a little bit covered.
Go to that end, 'cause there's much...
I just want to show the plaque for it right here before we... So you can see right here this... we're going to see this floating map. So this is by Francois Sheen. You can see his name right here. And it's going to be in the pavement here. And they're doing a little bit of work. So some of it's covered. But we'll still show you as we make our way up. But it's this 87-foot-long work consisting of these concrete rods that are embedded in the sidewalk here. And it's more or less an accurate schematic of the subway as it was in 1986. We tried to convince them to take up their boards for us, but it didn't work. But a little bit of a public art right here that is also including the subway map. Again, Francois Sheen, who is a Belgian artist, and this was installed in 1986. And pretty cool, but I'm sure most people just sort of walk over all the time. Can we show this piece as well, by the way?
Yeah.
Because this is going to come back again. This is by Ken Karatsuka, and this is called Tulip. And he's known for carving in one straight line, his carvings. And we're going to see another piece by him in just a little bit. So take note of this piece. It's called Tulip right here. And we're going to see another piece by him coming up very shortly. Why floating, Joe and Ann? I'm not sure what you mean by why floating. Maybe you mean the subway map. Well, I think they're just using that as a title for the, it's floating in the pavement, basically. But, yeah, I think so. All right, so as we're making our way up to Prince Street now, we're going to take note of a couple of buildings when we get to the corner. The first one is going to be on our right, which is an Apple store. It was an old post office. And I love that for those of you that were with us on the Barchitecture tour, we saw another Apple store that they transformed from another old building. And I love that Apple has been doing that in the city. They've been sort of taking care of these old buildings. But then I also want to point out 109 on the other corner, which is now a Ralph Lauren store. So take note of that, and then we'll walk along it for just a little bit. This 5-story corner building. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. This was by Jarvis Morgan Slade, who sadly died at the age of 30 before the building was completed in 1882. And it's surrounded by some taller cast iron buildings, as you can see as we make our way along. But it doesn't take away from how beautiful it is. And what's really unique is it's got sort of 3 different facades because it's on this corner in a way. Now this Ralph Lauren store, as you can see right there.
All right.
We're going to continue up Green Street, and you'll get a couple more beautiful shots of some of these cast iron buildings, one of which is painted all black, which is really quite unique along here. I decided to stand out a little bit. I wonder who's in that black building, who owns it, who the tenant is. And what's the reason we're going to backtrack? We're going to walk up and we're going to continue. I think the Ralph Lauren store is only on that first floor. Above it is probably some offices and some other. There's probably, I wouldn't even be surprised if there's some real estate or some residences a little bit further up.
Such a distinct architecture, these cast iron buildings, and also concentrated in this SOHO district. Really kind of wild.
Yeah. So we're making our way up here just to show off this house that's wedged in amongst all these cast iron buildings. This is the Anthony Orneau house. This was built in 1825 for Anthony Orneau, who was a tailor and an apparel merchant. And by 1850, he and his family had moved out because the neighborhood's decline, and it was quite noisy, a very commercial area. It was also an entertainment district at one time as well. And several businesses came in after that, including a hat seller and a fur store. And in 1968, an art dealer bought the house and in turn sold it to a private investor who's had plans to restore the house for quite some time. But as you can see, it hasn't continued. That restoration hasn't happened yet. It's in a bit of a standstill. But fingers crossed something happens with it soon, because it is pretty cool.
Yes, Lorna, it does need a little bit of a facelift, yeah.
So we're going to backtrack again. You'll get to see some of these, cast iron buildings from the other angle as we make our way back to Prince.
Sorry, just going back, someone asked if these buildings have elevators in them now. Most of them do. I forget what the rule is, but there is some sort of law that was passed, I think in the 50s or 60s, about elevators in buildings. If it was above, if you have a certain number of floors, 6 or 7 floors or higher, the law was that there had to be an elevator. So I'm sure a lot of these buildings now have elevators in them, if they didn't when they were built.
Now, for those of you that have been with us in South Street Seaport, we've shown the...
Yeah, I can do a long shot of this black building. There is a big truck right in the center of it. So, but yeah, we can get that. I'll try to get the truck out of it. There you go. That is a cool building.
So if you've been with us to South Street Seaport, we've talked about the Richard Haas mural before, which is sort of the 3D mural that hides the Con Edison energy plant that's down there. And he also has a mural in St. Louis that we've talked about. And there's actually one right here in SOHO, and you're going to start to see it come into view on the building. And it was put in 1974. And it was sort of meant to give the side of this building a bit of a cast iron feel to it. So we would have seen artists moving into this area. The upper floors of this particular building, Maya Lin was there. She had her studio in there because a lot of artists did come to this SOHO district in the 60s and 70s. And Maya Lin, by the way, did the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C.
Boy, his work needs to be, that also needs a facelift, that painting. I'm going to put a picture in the chat of this building, a side-by-side picture of the building before the mural was on there, and then right next to it is, of course, right after the mural was put up there, which is really cool. But there's been graffiti and stuff that you can see put on there. It does needs to be zhuzhed a little bit.
You might notice Louis Vuitton across the street, by the way. Those big polka dots are Yayoi Kusama has a new line with Louis Vuitton. So if you know the artist Yayoi Kusama, that's what those polka dots are about, if you're catching that. But right next door to it, where the Louis Vuitton awning is 102 Prince Street. And this is where they filmed the movie Ghost with Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, and Whoopi Goldberg. So I will say that as of April 2015, the 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath loft that they filmed in was up for sale in there for an asking price of $10.5 million, which is, by the way, 30 times what Demi Moore made on that movie.
I'm going to put a couple of pictures in. The first picture is a scene from the movie inside that loft apartment in this building where they filmed that movie. And did they fix the window? And also, where's that other one? There's a picture of Whoopi Goldberg looking at the building right here. Of course, it's covered naturally. It's all covered in scaffolding because they're doing some work on it. That's our luck these days with the scaffolding and buildings. But why couldn't the two of you move in? Molly, you in danger.
That is a very common phrase in our household. Molly, you in danger, girl. So we're making our way along Prince now, and we're almost to Mercer Street. And when we get to Mercer, we want to show you this little cafe that's on the right, the Finelli Cafe. It's been in operation since 1847, and it's the second oldest food and drink establishment in the same locale here in New York City. It was a speakeasy during the Prohibition, and it's still going, the Finelli Cafe. Kind of a little bit of a dive bar, but quite popular in this area, of course. And I think, by the way, Heygo's starting to roll out a new thing called pins, and I'm pretty sure that we pinned this one to our map. And if you don't know about the pins yet, it'll start to make more sense soon. But keep an eye out for the pins.
Yeah. Also, Mike, yes, SOHO is a major shopping district here in New York City. Absolutely.
Notice Prada right here.
Yeah.
I see Tory Burch nearby, Balenciaga. Yeah, lots of this is where Patrick does all of my Christmas and birthday shopping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Full price only.
Cut to Target, which I love. So the next thing we want to show, we're going to show you this from two different angles. We're going to show you from this street here on Prince, or from the Prince angle, and then we'll show you from Broadway when we get up there. But this is the Little Singer building, this 12-story Beaux-Arts style building. Again, look at all those cast iron details on there. This was designed by Ernest Flagg. So this was the headquarters, the very first headquarters for the Singer Sewing Machine Manufacturing Company. They ultimately built a second larger location, which is why this one's called the Little Singer building. Although the larger Singer building has since been demolished. So the Linger is the one that still exists right here.
Little Singer. You combined that and called it the Linger.
I did? The Linger? I did?
The Little Singer. I love that this is the
my
little,
brain.
The Little Singer. This is massive.
Oh my goodness, my brain. Where is it? The Linger. I do know somebody named Lauren Linger, though, which is probably why my brain went to Linger. And we're going to show that from the Broadway view as well. It's now a residential and a commercial co-op space, by the way. Oh, yeah, Joan, good question. Yeah, you will see that. In fact, we're going to see an excellent example of that. Actually, why don't I just go ahead and point it out right here, which is this corner, 560 Broadway. So thanks for that perfect lead-in. You can see a nice little mixture right here of some brick and some cast iron. This is now the Converse shoe flagship store. But this was commissioned by John Jacob Astor and William Astor. The architect of this building was Thomas Stint, and it's in what's called the Commercial Palace style. And this was where Dean and DeLuca was for years, if you remember Dean and DeLuca.
Gorgeous building.
I don't want to cross yet, actually, by the way. I want to go to this corner.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to show you some more sidewalk, believe it or not. Now, this one will get tricky to not have people in it, but that's okay. It's all part of New York. But recall that tulip artwork I showed you back there that was by Ken Hiratsuka. Here's another one of his pieces. This is called The Dusty Rebel, right here in the sidewalk at the corner of Prince and Broadway. Again, I'm sure folks are walking over it all the time. This was chiseled into the sidewalk in 1984, illegally, by the way. He is now a renowned legal artist, but he had just moved to New York right out of school and was trying to get his artwork out there, so he chiseled it into the sidewalk. Somebody asked what Dean and DeLuca was. It was sort of like a upscale supermarket and... supermarket. Yeah, I miss it. I used to love their peanut butter cookies and their coffee. It was like my perfect afternoon pick-me-up, a peanut butter cookie and a coffee from Dean and DeLuca.
Weebkay, I know, respect the fact that they did that like probably in the middle of the night when no one was around here.
Yeah.
In 1984, Soho was probably not so populated at that point.
So we're just going to make our way down Broadway now and just slowly kind of show off some of these. Oh, yeah, here's the Linger, the Little Singer building. Other angles now. We'll make our way down Broadway now, and you will just see building after building, and we'll talk about a couple of them. I mean, we could, spend all day long going on and on about each building, but we'll just kind of highlight some of them as we make our way along here. And as we make our way along, I want to talk a little bit about the formation of these cast iron facades. So, again, as we were saying earlier, it was quite cheaper than typical masonry construction of the day. And so these castings, they would be prefabricated in local foundries, usually near the East River or the Hudson River. We're sort of, which are the two rivers on either side of Manhattan, we're kind of in the middle of the two rivers right now. And they would be made in those foundries near the rivers, and in large part they were over by the rivers because the shipments of coal and iron could be received quite easily there, although there were a couple foundries sort of near here as well. Somebody asked about the Banksy. There's a Banksy on the Upper West Side, if that's the one you mean. But a lot of these foundries, they offered stock designs, so they could be basically selected from catalogs. Like, can you imagine getting like your Sears Roebuck? Well, Sears Roebuck had homes, but you get your catalog and you're like, oh, I like the columns of this one, I like the door frames of this one. So I mean, it's really kind of mind blowing to me how I'm bummed that we missed that.
I know.
There was a woman just making her dog pose in front of these flowers right here. It was really quite funny. But, I mean, I can only imagine getting that catalog and sort of going through it. But it really did sort of streamline the design process. Yeah, Ellie, quite modular. Yeah, exactly. That's the subway going below us, by the way. When did Soho have its gentrification? Well, I would say Well, it's you would have seen the artists move in here in the 60s and 70s, although it was still quite run down at that time. I would say early 90s, wouldn't you say, Patrick?
Yeah,
like
80s, 90s.
Yeah, we would have started to see this area start to become quite nice again. So the process of making these cast iron facades actually started with wood patterns, and then those were pressed into sand molds, which then created the negative of the casting. And then they would pour the molten iron into that mold filling, and it would fill all the voids. And then when it cooled, then that sand mold was broken, and the casting would merge to be finished by smoothing and priming before it was then shipped to the site. This is a newer building right here, by the way, the Nike one. But Patrick and I were noticing the other day, they've done a nice job of making it sort of fit in a modern way.
Yeah, this is a new building. This is not one of the older buildings, but they did a great job of making it fit into the neighborhood. And we're going to show you around the corner. They did a really cool thing on the side of this building. This is the one, right? Where they that's crazy. If we get across the street, we'll see it more clearly. We'll just wait for the traffic. But you can see that they've made the curve of the line of the building. I don't know if you can tell that from here, how they've created that curve in the building. Very modern, cool design aspect to the building.
And as it gets to the end, it looks like the cast iron buildings.
Yeah.
It's really well done. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, it is really cool. And I love when people they think about how to make a brand new building look like it fits in we're in the neighborhood. So I love that they took that care in design of it.
I want to show. Can we zoom in on this lamppost that's across the street?
Yes. Okay. The architect of that building, I'm not sure who that was.
So take notice of this lamppost. We'll see a couple more as we walk along, but I just want you to see that design. That's called the Bishop's Crook lamppost. And they basically, and we'll see one more on the next block. So take note of that one, but I just wanted to point that one out as we walk along, and I'll explain it as you get to take in some more of these cast iron buildings. Here's another example of the cast iron blended with the brick, by the way. A little bit of almost a Queen Anne look on that one, I feel like. It's pretty cool. So those Bishop's Crook lampposts, so basically in 1900, New York City began replacing the gas lights with electric. And by 1934, we had 76 different style lights all over the city. And over time, the older and kind of more aesthetically pleasing lampposts were replaced by modern, bland ones, a couple of which you'll probably see coming up. But SOHO has been adding a lot of reproductions of some of the original lampposts that are in this area to kind of take it back to that old charm of this district, those Bishop's Crook lampposts. So that one that we would have seen would have been one that's similar to what was in here in this area in 1936. Pretty cool.
Just do a shot back north.
Oh, sorry. I'm not paying attention. I ran into Patrick. Gosh,
I
so
love
beautiful.
that building.
And then I want to show off another cool building on the same block. This one right here with the green roof on it. This is by Alfred Drucker. It was designed in the Art Nouveau style in 1893. And it's just yet again another different example. Look at the detail underneath. Just put the floor below the green roof. It's just exquisite. So this would have been a printing press. Then it was a textile warehouse. Now there's a Levi's store there, another clothing store there, and the upper floors have some technology offices and marketing as well.
Someone asked if some of these cast iron buildings would have the fire escapes on the back. You know what? That's a good point, I'm assuming, because not all of them have the fire escapes that are visible in the front. So, I'm assuming there must be, the fire escapes are to create a second way out of the building. So as long as you have a second exit in the building somewhere, so maybe there's, another exit if they're full loft, the fire escape stairs aren't required for every building. It's really only if you don't have a second exit in the building.
That was the subway again going below us, by the way, if you keep hearing that rumbling. We're on Broadway, so that would be the NRQW going below us. Gosh, it's
That
just
is really
gorgeous.
cool, yeah. All right.
So we're going to make our way to this corner of Broome and Broadway, and we're going to find a good little spot. I think there's one kind of almost in the street where we can stand and be sort of safe, and we'll do a little bit of a 360 to show off a few buildings right there and talk about them. The first one is on this southwestern corner, and it's the Silk Exchange building. So John Williams financed this, designed it, and even served as his own contractor on this building, 12 stories tall. It was built in 1895. A lot of terracotta ornamentation on this one. A lot of folks call it the slice of wedding cake building, because it looks like a beautiful slice of a wedding cake. I love that imagery, of course. This had a lot of tenants. Many of them were in the silk industry building, which is why it's called the Silk Exchange building. And over time, the silk industry moved out, and we would have seen Roebuck Manufacturing moving here, as well as the Newman Clock Company came in here. Now it is 25 residential units with a little bit of commercial on the first floor as well. But it's just a gorgeous building.
Signal seems to be jumping a little bit around. We're back in the green zone right now, but a long shot. Yeah, you bet. But just know that our signal looks like it's getting a little good. Oh, good to hear. Okay.
Good. Good. There. Oh, what a great shot. Yeah, there we go.
That is
Love
such
that.
a gorgeous building. Okay.
Now, I felt like we would do a 360 here, but maybe we're better off crossing to do these two buildings. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this one? or-
Yeah. So this is called the Lamb and Rich building. And I love how this one has, the front of it's kind of got two fronts, because it's got its Broadway front, but then this is Broome that you're seeing right here. And really, it is like, look at that building. It's just stunning. It's called Lamb and Rich. They were the designers of it as well. Built in 1883. It's Romanesque revival, but it's got a little bit of Queen Anne and Moorish revival as well. And again, this would be that blend of cast iron and brick that we were talking about earlier. And you'll see some other stone in there as well. It's just exquisite.
This is actually a really cool block. I'm just going to zoom in on the couple of buildings next to it, because those are also really cool. This whole block is just a neat area to walk around.
And if you're putting the pieces together of our tours, we actually start our Little Italy Chinatown tour right here. There's that mural. Actually, it's one block past. Sorry, right there is one of the first murals we just show on it on that tour, which we do tomorrow. Actually, we'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. You want to cross and
Yeah,
show-
I think. Well, this is the building I want to show. So whichever.
Right. So I think it would be cross and cross.
Sure.
Crisscross
Yeah, crisscross.
applesauce.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to cross Broome, and we're going to cross Broadway, and then we have another building to show you on this block, which is the Howat building. Howat, which is really spelled Haughwout, and it's going to be this beautiful gray cast iron building coming into view from 1857. This was designed by architect John Gaynor, and Howat was they were an emporium, a big famous manufacturer of fine china and porcelain. In fact, Mary Todd Lincoln purchased custom-made plates and flatware for the White House from that emporium that was in this building right here. And this also has a history of innovation, as it was the first building in the world to feature a hydraulic passenger elevator. It was designed and installed by Elijah Armstrong Otis. Of course, Otis is a name we see with a lot of elevators still to this day, including the Eiffel Tower has an Otis elevator, the Empire State Building. So the Howat right there.
You can see that water tower, just the water tower peeking out on the top there.
And we are at the end of our tour. I hope you enjoyed a little snippet of SOHO.
Snippet of SOHO.
Yeah, we didn't get to see all 250 of the cast iron buildings, but we still saw quite a few. I don't know if you can hear the subway going below us. We can feel the rumble of it.
Find a new area, and there's some cool buildings down there.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. But listen, tomorrow, as we just mentioned, we're back in Little Italy in Chinatown. So if you've never done that tour with us before, please feel free to join us. Or if you have done that tour and want to see it again, by all means, you never know what could be new and different. Last time we did it, we saw a movie shoot.
Oh, right. That was crazy.
I mean,
we saw a movie. We didn't actually see Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Yeah.
But it was a movie. I think we just missed them by minutes. We happened upon this movie shoot that we had no idea was even happening. And we saw their stand-ins, and then we saw somebody else. I can't remember.
I can't remember his name. Marina from Italy, our new viewer. Thanks for staying on.
Oh, wonderful.
We kept you.
Marina,
Yay.
we'll see you tomorrow. That's wonderful news. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and then next week we are going to be in. We're doing our very first tour of Tribeca, which stands for Triangle Below Canal, and we do that on Monday, and then on Tuesday we have a nighttime tour. I think it's South Street Seaport. I'm going to try to look on my phone.
Oh, thanks, Tish. Tish just put that link in for another new tour, Tribeca, that we're doing.
That's on Monday. We're very excited about that one. The Tribeca one, you'll see some more of this cast iron, some more of these cast iron buildings in Tribeca, but a lot of other cool architecture, and it's a cool part of town. We're excited about that, including our new bean. The Chicago bean.
Yeah, we have our version of it.
Yeah, we're very excited. We'll get to show that off as well next week.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the bean. I'm just double checking. Yeah, South Street Seaport at night is next Tuesday's tour.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up. The best way to know about any of those new tours is to follow us.
That's right. If you don't already follow us, and a lot of you do, so thank you for that. But if you don't follow us, the way to do that is hit those 3 buttons at the top, and there's a follow option. And thanks, Rabina, and that way you'll find out when we add new tours, when we even repeat tours. It's a great way to keep up with what we're doing and when we add new tours. So thank you for all of you who follow us, and thanks, Heather. And all of you in the blue boxes, of course, thank you so much. My goodness, these tours, I think every time we do a new tour, I'm always like, first of all, we're relieved that it went well, because we always, we want them, when we do new tours, we get nervous and we want them to go well, but a lot of you join us when we do new tours, and even when we repeat tours, and it just means the world to us. It really does. Thank you all. I can't say anything more than that, because you know how I can easily get mushy. But
Mike said, thanks for answering all the questions. We didn't get them all. I missed Cindy's, and I just saw it. Cindy, I didn't just see it, but I saw it while Patrick was chatting. Cindy asked, why are they called cast iron? Because it's iron poured into that's cast into a mold, thus cast iron. But that's where that comes from. Sorry if I sort of glossed over that, but hopefully that makes sense. You were testing, yeah, exactly. I'm sure there were others that we missed, and we apologize for that. But you can always ask it again on another tour, and we'll do our best to answer it. And there you go, Cindy. Yeah, of course. And I think that's all we got.
All right. Thank you all so much. We're going to leave you with this beautiful shot of these 3 or 4 cast iron buildings right in a row in the center of SOHO. Thank you, and we'll see you all soon.